So this all started at the beginning of August for me, where my sleep just started to get really unsettled. And not because anything was necessarily wrong at home or anywhere else, but I just kept on waking up in the middle of the night. And I couldn't go back to sleep in my own bed. And if you're a mom like me, you kind of know that waking up in the middle of the night kind of comes with a job. And if you know, you know. But even so, this waking up in the middle of the night, it still felt a little different. And then the dread started to creep in. And this feeling of dread, sometimes I pick up on it psychically, and sometimes I'll have to admit that it's just mine. And I ended up getting into a very rare argument with a Leo friend of mine out of nowhere, or at least what kind of felt out of nowhere. And then my manager, who is also a Leo, she's been really stressed at work, and she started piling on more work on me to help her, and I ended up getting more stressed. And then underneath all of that, I had this quiet, what the hell am I doing with my life thought that just wouldn't shut up. And of course, it turns out I'm not losing it, because we are in the middle of an eclipse portal with a total solar eclipse that happened in Leo, and then a blood moon or lunar eclipse that's happening in Pisces. And I know I can't be the only one having a weird and hard time with this eclipse portal season, right? Anyways, I have my suspicions on why this is acting this way, and in today's video, I am going to talk about why this eclipse is hitting so hard and how you can navigate it and help you get through this very interesting eclipse portal that we're going through right now. All right, so let's get into it. So on August 12th, 2026, there was a total solar eclipse at 20 degrees of Leo in astrology. And, sometimes there are solar eclipses that come and go, and they may have very interesting things that happen like globally, but it's not always personal. But not this one. My God. Okay, so this particular eclipse landed in my personal 8th house, and in whole sign astrology, which is what I use, every house carries its own weight, whether you have planets sitting in them or not. And so my 8th doesn't have any planets, and that didn't matter. The ruler of my 8th house, well, it's Leo, right? So the ruler is the sun, and that's what was getting the eclipse this time. And so the 8th house for me, but just in general, the 8th house is a house of death, other people's money. You can kind of think like taxes. It also represents grief and inheritances. It can be energetically heavy as well. And it's also considered a hidden house. Like from where your first house sits to where the 8th house is, astrologically speaking, you can't see it. And that's kind of what can make it feel a little bit more heavy when things are happening there. And then I realized the last time I had a solar eclipse that felt like this for me, that was really hard, tough, kind of that dread feeling that kept on creeping up on me, was about 3 years ago in the axis of the signs of Aries and Libra. And at that time, my father almost died of a heart attack. And he ended up having to get kind of like an emergency quadruple bypass. And, he has since recovered. He's still alive, thank God. But, after a big surgery like that, he doesn't move around as much as he did before. And he does require a lot more help than he used to before that happened. And, it was really tough going through that situation. And it's kind of crazy because at this moment, I'll have to admit that my body recognized the heaviness of what this eclipse season was bringing for me before my mind even did. And as an astrologer and a coach, I know when I feel this way, I've learned that it can mean one of two things. And one, I'm not accepting something. Or two, I'm being asked to work through something old that's resurfacing. And I guess you can kind of ask, how do we know which one this solar eclipse is asking for? And usually the eclipse itself will tell you what's being lit up in your chart. And that's kind of your clue as to what may be shining or it's being lit up for you at this moment. And to be honest, you don't have to have this eclipse happening in your 8th house. And unless you're a Capricorn rising like me and it is happening in your 8th house, and if you are, I feel you. We are totally in this together right now because it does feel a little heavy. But we can also look, if you're not a Capricorn rising, we can look to what's being eclipsed, and that's Leo. Leo is all about leadership, creativity, shining really bright, your heart, and also being the star of the show. So I realized while I was editing my video, I totally glossed over another thing that has happened during this eclipse portal, and that's that at least 3 famous celebrities passed away. And it started with Hayden Panettiere, and you know, she's a very I'm a millennial, so she was a very big millennial actress, and it was really sad to see her pass. And then of course the great Dolly Parton. I mean, good Lord, I grew up listening to her music, watching her movies. I mean, she was just a wonderful representation of kindness and, you know, what it meant to be in the working class. And then of course Tim Curry. I loved his acting. He was really great. One of my favorite all-time movies is Legend, and you know, he plays the, I don't know, the Dark Lord or whatever. I forgot what they called him in there, but yeah, that was another thing that happened during this eclipse portal. But all right, back to the regular video. And this is one of those eclipses that is like literally digging at our literal heart and soul. And it's asking, what is your truest heart of hearts wanting for you? What is your soul begging for? For me, it's working and doing something that I feel proud of and that I can help someone along the way. It's also me reaching to my creative side that unfortunately I have put to the back burner. And so I ask, what is it for you? This is the beginning of a story for like the next year or so. And we are fixing to have a Pisces blood moon on the 27th. And that energy is exiting. It's saying goodbye. Since this is the last Pisces eclipse for a while, you are wrapping up the lessons of sensitivity, self-care, and deciphering your dreams and whatever they may be, whether asleep or not, you know, and art. So whatever you learn in the Pisces eclipses that have already passed, take them forward with you. Those are important lessons. And so I would just say, what did you experience in this most recent solar eclipse in Leo? Did it feel heavy for you like it did for me? Did you feel like your shining self got dimmed a bit? And has this eclipse portal had you up in weird hours of the night, like 3 a.m. like me? But you know, also it's good news. This won't last forever, and I would just say lean into what your heart is asking for. And I just wanted to say that I do have some astrology readings if you want to dig into what this eclipse portal and this eclipse season is meaning for you. So please feel free to look down below. I will have my website linked below, and you can look at my services that I have. And Also, this was going to be a really quick video. I just wanted to get into that. So I would just ask, please like, share, and subscribe. It really helps my channel out. And also, thank you again for all my new subscribers. Oh my gosh, I was so excited to see a few of you subscribing. So thank you very much. I appreciate that. And for everybody listening, of course, don't forget that every layer you uncover changes how you see everything. All right, so I'll see you next time. Bye.